Welcome. You are at the CCC.
Where there are no outside issues. My name's Anthony. I'm an addict and an alcoholic, another bozo on the bus, and I care about you.
And I'm LouiLou. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm recovering for crystal meth and alcohol, and I am always in search of balance. And each week we strive to foster a brave space where we can engage in conversations centered around topics of recovery.
And our intention is to hold and inspire better spaces for more people in recovery by tackling issues sometimes used to separate us.
Yes, but before we do that, please like, share, and comment on this episode. Rate too.
Yeah. Comment. Leave us a comment. That's not. I didn't mean to repeat myself, but I mean, comment. Ding that bell.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just letting it right out. All right. And now the disclaimer: the thoughts and opinions expressed on At the CCC are ours alone. We do not represent anyone but ourselves. In other words, we're just a couple of friends behind a mic here to entertain you. Oh, and everything we say is for general information purposes only.
Absolutely.
So, how is everyone?
I'm good. I was sick last week. I was supposed to go to Palm Springs, but I had to do the adult thing, and I realized, I had a head cold and a chest cold. Like, you can kind of hear it. I'm finally like getting better.
Yeah.
But it's like, it was one of those things where it's like, I stayed home all weekend. Like, this would happen. I had 4 days off, and all 4 days I was at home. It was so cool.
Yeah.
I live.
Did you do any? Did you like
and
watch
I didn't go to work
shows,
yesterday. I decided I'm going to stay home. So, yeah. Oh, God. Okay, so I've been watching on Netflix. It was a show from AMC called The Discovery of Witches.
Oh, I saw that. I haven't watched it yet.
I watched the first 2 seasons. I'm on the last season. It's 3 seasons. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what's it about?
Okay, so it's about discovering witches. No.
Okay, bitch. Let's move on to the next question. Get out of here.
It takes place in England and France and whatever, and it's basically the idea is that it talks about how like witches and vampires and whatever and all these creatures lived before, and they're kind of becoming extinct, and so it is this. Yeah,
I mean, don't ruin it. No spoilers.
Yeah, trust me. What I told you now is not even like. It doesn't even touch on it.
Oh wow, you're so sassy.
Yeah. Well, I'm usually overwhelmed when I sign on to those services and I want to watch something and they're like 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me I gotta watch all this? Yeah, I don't have the attention span.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Anthony? I always forget.
What were you gonna say?
No, I always forget.
How are you doing? What were you gonna say?
I don't know if you know.
You're like doing the Kamala Harris mother.
No, I'm doing like exactly. No, I'm doing like moms who have like who have multiple siblings. When you have multiple siblings, and my mom used to name everybody until she got like, I'm like, my name is not Felicia. My name is not Destiny.
Are those the names of your siblings?
Yes.
Oh.
Juanita, Yolanda, Felicia, and Destiny.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's all girls and you?
Yeah.
Oh, cute.
I always joke. I always like, bum. What's that sound? So wait till I say what I'm going to say and then do it again.
All right, go.
Okay, so my father kept trying for a boy and he almost got one.
So close.
So close.
They have that sound?
Yeah.
I know. My father, if he's listening to this, he's all crying in the corner. Oh my God.
Yeah.
My lineage is ending with you.
But you're, I don't know what I was going to say.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good. I've been, as y'all know, I started residency a few weeks ago.
You got a job.
So I'm really tired. Still adjusting to a new schedule. You know, what's interesting is that like there are some days where I leave 7:30 in the morning and I come back at 7:30 at night. Like those are some days. I do that twice a week. And then the other days I'm just working 9 to 5. But there's just something about 9 to 5 that's exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's called work.
Yep.
So I feel like that's the thing. I think I feel like I'm pathologizing. Okay, I don't know what's happening. Our producer's laughing, and I don't know. I didn't hear the joke. So I was. Yeah, I guess that's it. I've been like this whole time. I've been thinking like, what's wrong with me? Why am I always so tired by the end of work?
I love it.
Yeah, I'm always so tired. And I normally go to the gym in the morning and I haven't been able to do that. And like my partner was like, oh, like just get adjusted. So I'm like getting adjusted, but I'm like tired. I haven't had a true 9 to 5 in such a long time.
It takes some time.
It does.
It takes time to get adjusted to.
Yeah. And
Not that I know
you have to
about-
deal with personalities.
Not that I know about
You
this,
just
but
become a robot.
yeah, exactly.
like
You do it every day.
no real talk because I was thinking about like, oh, I need to come home and I need to get my clothes ready and I have to go to bed at this time and I need to prepare my food to walk in the and that's literally the entire week.
But how long have you been doing it right now? Like
You didn't hear the first part of what I was saying?
No.
About how I've been doing this for a few weeks?
for a few months. But
A few weeks.
For a few weeks.
Yeah.
But
I'm in a month
But I
now,
want
yeah.
you to hear that.
What?
I want you to hear that because it's like it's new, and
Mm-hmm.
once you establish a routine,
Yeah.
and once you get to a place where you're no longer freaking out about gotta get here on time,
Yeah.
then you'll be able to kind of do other little things like reclaim some of the
time.
stuff. Yeah, reclaim your time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know what Bonnie Violet always says: give yourself some grace.
Yeah. I also want to give her a shout out in a second.
Actually,
But hold on, let me finish. So I listen to
wait,
your
there's
shit.
more.
But yeah, there's more. You know what? I forgot. So that's fine.
that's a nice segue into introducing
So
this.
we want to introduce our friend who we're really excited to have here.
Yes.
Her name's Thana. Thana, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm well rested. I will
love
say.
that.
Sorry to piggyback off of you, but I am not
piggyback.
working. So that's why.
Okay.
I'm not working.
You have your own 9 to 5.
I got my own 9 to 5, and today it was HBO.
Oh, love
not
it, love it.
Netflix, HBO.
HBO. So I got rid of HBO because I felt like they didn't have enough.
when they changed, because it was HBO Max, and then they changed to whatever, and I was thinking, what's going on here? This is where you guys are bamboozling me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
It was like the same thing with like AMC Plus. I was only using AMC Plus because they had Interview with the Vampire.
right.
Yeah, otherwise it was like,
The new season is on Netflix, so I've been watching it again too.
oh, word. Yeah.
Not
I
the
don't
new
even
season,
use
the
it. I don't
first
use
season.
HBO that often,
No.
but like I was looking at my bills because I got this application where you can
Rocket
talk about
Money?
Rocket
Yeah, I
Money.
live for
Exactly. This is
Rocket,
not
yeah.
an ad for Rocket Money.
Yeah.
But
They don't sponsor us.
But they can. It's like if you guys want to
using
sponsor
it.
us, we will say
Yeah.
nice things.
right,
Straight up.
right.
No, I was like, wait a minute. Why do I have two of the same
Exactly.
subscriptions?
I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, I don't use my HBO. And that's an expensive subscription. So let
Yeah.
me get in. Let me
Yeah.
get in and watch all of everything.
Yeah, real talk. Okay, one thing before we go to today's topic. Sorry, was that all?
Yeah. That's
Okay,
it.
well,
That's
so
it.
you know what you're reminding me of is, I don't know if you've ever used YouTube Premium, so like YouTube without the advertisements. That's like a life changer, right? So I did.
Is it really?
Yeah.
But listen, Louis, what's your problem?
No, there's no problem. I just like you said, life changer, and I'm all thinking, okay, okay.
If you use YouTube
I take
often-
joy. I take joy in the
Yes.
simple things. The
Okay.
simple bitch.
Yeah.
I don't want any I don't want any commercials when I'm watching my cat videos. I do not want.
I
But
put
it's
on
not-
like meditation or meditative music at night, and I know if I heard an advertisement at 3 a.m,
okay,
that's
okay.
super loud. Like
Yes.
I jump
Yeah,
out of my bed.
yeah.
like, so
Okay,
it's-
I got it.
Yeah.
It's a lifesaver for those types of circumstances.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I'm so tired. Okay, so the last thing I was gonna oh my god, we haven't even started the topic. But the other thing I was gonna say is so I had the free version and I was like, oh, this is fantastic, you know? And then the free version was stopped. You know how much it costs to have YouTube Premium?
Much.
It's like $20 a month.
Yeah,
That is bonkers to me.
no, it is. It's like
I was like, man.
I went
And
through
can
it,
I
yeah.
tell you what I think they did? Can I tell you what I think they did? So I had the premium. Oh, so I was using the free version. Then I had the premium. Do you know? I think those motherfuckers are putting more advertisements
Oh no.
in stuff. Because I'm like, oh, okay, I see you, YouTube. You know what I mean? Like I see you, YouTube.
like
Because
they sprinkled a little crack on the
yeah,
other
well,
one and
first
said,
they were like, yeah, because now I'll be watching a show, and this never happened. I would watch like a 10-minute length thing, and now there's like 2 fucking advertisements dispersed within them, like interspersed. So, what the fuck?
So you went back to the free version.
Yeah. I'm trying to be like financially responsible.
It's smart.
That's
Yeah,
smart.
it's
I'm still
absolutely
in-
smart.
Yeah, well, I'm
Sure,
still in grad school. I'm still hella broke.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right. So today's topic, this is part 2 of controversial topics in recovery. So we're basically talking about shit that people normally avoid talking about in sober spaces because, I think most people don't want things to pop off, and we want to like maintain healthy relationships. So
most people don't want things to pop off, and there are some people that I will not have conversations with because I don't want to pop off. that's usually what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to like keep myself, stay in my grace place,
in your Gracie placey.
in my Gracie placey.
So I guess most recent thing, did we haven't talked about the debate, have we?
I don't.
No, I don't think we have.
I don't think so.
No, we haven't talked about the debate. Did you watch the debate, Thana?
I did watch the debate. And
did you watch it when you were in Peru?
I was in Peru
I love
and I
that.
had it
Okay,
on.
international.
I was international. I put on the debate and
You laughed.
I was like, this is a joke.
I know exactly.
Yeah.
This is a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is so interesting, and I don't know where I heard this from. This idea that like you have this man who is a reality TV star who is declining, clearly has mental decline, and the bar is so low, and the focus was on, is she on to answer this shit? Like, this is madness. This is like, hello, what are we in Disneyland? This is the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah. It is a totally.
surreal.
Well, and I was watching, I don't know if it was like Jimmy Kimmel or Fallon or I watch a lot of like late night with Seth Meyers, and I don't know who was talking about it, but they were saying that, oh God, I forgot that I keep talking and like there are like blank spots now. That's how tired I am.
Let us help you.
I feel like
We'll help you.
I know,
Thanks,
exactly.
Thana.
Your brain.
That's what we're here for.
It was, they were basically, they were saying it's surprising how even after that type of debate, it doesn't move the needle much.
Absolutely.
Although I was hearing that she is up and she's like leading in a couple swing states. So my home state, which is Pennsylvania, I think she's leading there now.
Yeah.
But it's super important. Like if you are listening or whatever,
Yeah.
I mean, we're pretty fortunate because I think that here, like we're insulated.
Yeah.
Like I can vote. I can vote more of my conscience here because I know, and maybe that's my privilege that I get to kind of decide how I'm going to do that. And it's not like it's life or death, but it's not life or death. Like I always vote regardless, but it's not life or death. Like if I decide to go a different way, it's not going to alter the course of California right now. But I still think my vote is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, work.
It was interesting, like traveling and being in Peru, because a lot of people were like trying to feel my friend and I out, like where we were on the political spectrum.
Oh,
Even though
interesting.
it wasn't clear by looking at me. But yeah, then once they understood, like we're not Trump supporters at all, like everyone's like, phew, and like they just had a lot to say. Like it's just a joke for everyone, like internationally. Like we just laugh. Like it's just like it's a running worldwide joke.
Exactly. Half of the country
folks.
is going to need to be lobotomized.
Like, oh yeah, yeah.
The only good thing that he's done is he's shown a light on the racism that's always been there. Because I think it's fascinating. There are folks now, I can't believe we're going through this, and then you have all these people, brown and black people, who are saying, "Yeah, this is kind of how." Like when you have somebody challenging me for my decision to vote for Kamala or whatever, and they're telling me that I if you vote for her, then you are complicit in this, that, and whatever, and I'm all, so. The thing that frustrates me is I get to care about all of the things. I because it's not selfish for me to think of the fact that democracy is, or at least the way it is, which is not perfect, but is like, it's on the chopping block.
Yes.
And there are so many things that need to be kind of addressed, that are important. I had a really close friend who actually was on the podcast, and he was telling me, it's like, he had posted something about like, well, you're complicit in genocide and this and that and whatever. And then I asked him, it's like, where are you at right now? You traveling right now? You traveling outside the country? I mean, I don't want to take it away from you, but it is kind of a privilege for you to sit on your perch and tell me that because I'm less interested in just thinking about one thing. I think that we can be multifaceted and care about a number of things, and yeah, I know. That's why I love that you're here because I feel like you are a firecracker. I feel like I feel for me, I feel like even the conversation that started talking about like, and I think I had mentioned this to you about the whole idea. I stay out of the conversation about Israel and Palestine or whatever because I don't feel like I have enough information. But the beauty of the podcast here is like, I'm always trying to encourage people to have conversation.
Right.
I think it's important to find the right people to have conversation with. Yeah.
Absolutely. And like, I think for me, like I choose to intentionally stay out of conversations because I have to learn over time. And that's like definitely related to my addiction and my insanity.
Bring it back to recovery.
Ooh, yeah. Like popping off on the internet, posting stuff, like it was not good for me. And I wasn't doing anything, you know? I was sure like spreading some awareness, but at the end of the day, I wasn't like changing the world. You know, I was just driving myself insane. And so I had to make a decision, a constant decision, especially as a Black woman in America, because I'm going to have things that impact me every day, right?
That's
there's going to be
right,
stressors, there's going to be microaggressions, there's going to be racism, there's going to be all these things. So I have to pick and choose my battles because the odds right now are already not in my favor, right? So I have to be intentional about what I choose to engage in and not to engage in. And that does not mean that I don't care about it, right? But I think I've just gotten to a point, and thanks to sobriety, where I do value my spiritual, my mental, my emotional health, that it's important to do that because then I can actually show up in ways that are actually useful to the world, right?
Rather than just
popping off.
I feel like you have to say that part again. Like you are mindful, or like that the fact that you are very thoughtful about what you talk about, and it doesn't mean that I don't care about it. Right. I think so many people dismiss it, like, "Oh, you didn't speak up on this." I'm all, "Yeah, you don't know what I'm going through or what I'm dealing with," but
Right.
Yeah. You know, you're bringing up something that Angela Davis addresses there in her book, Freedom is a Constant Struggle.
I told you he reads.
So she talks about how a lot of people have this opinion about like, well, I don't know enough about the Middle East. And she said, I haven't read this book in years, but she said that's not enough. This is not a criticism of you. But that it's not enough for us not to take a stand, right? Like not having it, like, yes, when we're making decisions, we should have as much information as possible. But given like the gravity of what's happening in the Middle East and has for such a long time, that we don't have that luxury, right? Yeah. That it's not enough to say that we don't have enough information.
I guess I have to block out the noise because my stance is genocide is wrong,
right?
On any level,
right?
Where I kind of avoid the conversation is when they go into talking about this idea of Israel deserves this, Palestine deserves, like. I don't get it. Right. And I don't get it, but I'm open to hearing people's thoughts. Like I deliberately have started following those creators or whatever who kind of, in the beginning, they would open their mouth and say things and it would be like, not this again. Stop talking. And then listening and realizing, okay, first off, this is the beauty of this country, that we get to have these conversations, that they get to challenge each other, and that I don't necessarily need to have this gaggle of people who think like I do, because that's going to limit me. It's going to keep me from growing in the way I need to. But trust me, it's like I encourage you to, in hearing that, because I almost want to read that book now. So you make sure.
Oh, Angela Davis is
yeah, she's amazing.
You know, the other one the other good one that I like is I think it's called The Fire Next Time. By
James Baldwin. Yes, exactly.
That shit I was like, oh my God, that man is brilliant. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk about, well, similar, just piggybacking off of you, is that I had an experience today where I was in a meeting and executive leadership was there. And one of the executive leader was like a white heterosexual cis man from, I won't say where they're from because I feel like you could figure out who that is.
The Caucasian.
But he's from a place that I'm very familiar with that has historically had racial issues. Like this city is known for having issues. Like there are very intense racial tensions there, and there have been for years, and it's a problem. And it was like the first time that I have, since I've been in graduate school, I think, and it's been 9 years. So it's like the first time I was in a position where like the person in power with literally the most power in the room was like a white heterosexual cis man. And that shit brought up so much for me. And I was like, well, what's happening here? And I think what fucked me up was that because everyone who was subordinate, the majority of the people were women, number one. Number two, and this also makes me gag. The majority of the people that were there were women, and many of them had like more degrees and experience than he did.
Oh, absolutely.
And that fucks with me, where I'm like, I don't get this, you know? But yeah, it just really rubbed me the wrong way. And I was like, I went back and I was looking at the hospital leadership because I was like, is this what this institution is about, you know? And I went, and there is some diversity. There's actually a lot of diversity at the national level with leadership, but there was just something about this that like, I don't know what it was, you know? And I think it was I know what it is. I think I know what it is that people were behaving differently. You know, people were like pandering during the meeting, and I felt like there was like a lot of ass kissing, and I was like, oh my God, like, are we really doing this right now?
With this situation, and you're talking about this is where you're
this is where I'm at right now. Yeah.
You didn't have much of a choice, but is this something that you take into consideration, like a research that you do when you're looking for?
So yeah, that's such a good question, because I was talking to my clinical supervisor, and she said to me, she's like, Anthony, like, you know, you're getting a feel for what this is like, and you get to decide, you know, if this is like the type of institution you would want to work in, you know? And, you know, I had another supervisor say to me, she's like, because this institution pays very, very well. And they're like, you know, a lot of us kind of keep our mouths shut because they pay so well. And like, that's and, you know, and they, you know, and she made that face too. She was like, we have bills to pay. This is like a really good paying job. She's like, we kind of, you know, we insulate ourselves, you know, with like the culture that we have here.
Right.
And, you know, the other thing I appreciated was that they were real with me, and they're like, hey, you know what, like normally residents are protected from the hostility, but they were both saying like things will get hostile eventually between, you know, the executive leadership and, you know, the clinicians. And so I guess it was like a rude awakening, because I've been so protected from most of that, but now I'm like actually out in the field, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not just this like researcher scholar anymore. Like I'm actually in the real world where like all of these things that we're talking about very much exist. Yeah.
That's tough, man. It's like that you have to choose, like, while you were talking about that, it's like, why should we have to choose, you know, getting paid what I'm worth, my value over my like peace of mind? Like, because the best job that I have had, I feel, in my life was working for the Black Coalition on AIDS. Unfortunately, I was making no money. I was making no money. It's like, and at one point, I had this coworker who jokingly said, you know, don't be surprised if you show up and the doors are locked, because it's a nonprofit and funding was coming from all these kind of interesting sources. Thank God they're still active and they're still doing like wonderful work because it's necessary. But it's like, you have to fight all constantly, you know, fight for a seat at the table and say, hey, these things need to be addressed. You know, it's all good.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's tough. It's really tough. I feel like I was in your position before, in a team that I worked on. So I work at a tech company, and it was just a lot of that, you know, a lot of personalities, a lot of white people in power that we're trying to,
like the one running this show right now. He's laughing over there. We love you, Steven.
And to be clear, like for folks listening, this isn't like an anti-white conversation.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Literally, like more than half of the people on the other side of the production table are white.
You can't come to the cookout, but we'll make you a plate.
Yeah,
we'll make you a plate.
Yeah,
that's gonna be fire.
We'll make you a plate.
But
go ahead.
You know, it's there's questionable people, regardless of the race. There's questionable people that are in positions of power that are protected too. Like we don't talk about that as well. Like, you know, once you start ruffling some feathers, It can get dangerous because HR is not like always there to support you.
No.
Like, I personally don't
They're
trust
ultimately
HR.
there to, yeah.
Talk about
Yeah.
people who look like us, black and brown, who are there but who aren't really our allies.
Oh,
yes.
gatekeepers.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes,
The
yes,
gatekeepers.
yes,
Yeah.
dangerous,
Okay, that's
dangerous.
real. That's real.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. Are we gonna say something there?
Yeah.
Go.
And just like, and so like the way that you have to like navigate those situations, or the way that I had to navigate it, was I had to find allies that I really trust, that are up higher than me, and like they're like, you know, horizontal as well. Like having those allies that are like true allies, you know?
Yeah.
And they have to have power as well.
exactly,
They have to
exactly.
be able to like sponsor you. And
Right.
because once you start ruffling feathers and going after those individuals, like it's a tough battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting pushed out.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
I'm glad y'all brought it does. I'm glad y'all brought up like gatekeeper people, because there have been 2 situations where I was in a subordinate role, and both of the people that were ahead of me and had a lot of power were both women of color. And those were dreadful situations for me. In both situations, they were absolutely dreadful. And I wasn't sure what was happening. You know, like I was constantly reflecting, like, am I doing something? Like, am I bringing, because I am the common denominator, you know? And then I thought, I don't know. But, you know, like I've had those experiences. And in one of those experiences, the person who was above me was openly hostile toward me. You know, she would say horrible things about me with her office door open, and she'd be screaming, and we could hear it in the hallway. And right. And conversely, I have also had like white people really like step in and take, well, because in that same situation, there was someone, I was at another hospital, and I had a few friends that were part of the executive leadership of the hospital, and they were very protective of me, you know, and they also took like a mentorship role, and they were both white people. Right. So, you know, I guess I'm saying that last part to say that like racial relations or like identity politics are very complicated. And I think, and, you know, speaking to power, and I sent that, you know, Jinx Monsoon, she was talking to Trixie, and they were talking about privilege, and, you know, I live for Jinx, and she was saying, you know, privilege is not having to worry about things.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not having to think about things.
Not to take
You know
what
what I
you
mean?
worry about into consideration.
You know what? No, you're just fine. You know, you can walk
Yes.
into a situation, not worry about anything.
Right.
Where, you know, I feel like the other power dynamics that exist is like, especially when you're working, is that, for example, like if you decide to leave a place, you might need a reference, right? And so you have to be on good behavior, which means you're probably holding your tongue a whole lot, you know?
Oh God.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's a game.
Yeah, it is a game.
Really,
It is
it's
a game.
really
And,
just a game.
you know, I mean, I was okay because I was just thinking about like, you know, I've had this professional relationship with someone for many years, and she has a lot of power over me. And she's opened a lot of doors for me, right? But she says the most racist shit sometimes, and like some of the things she's said and done are like really abusive. But I'm like, I just need to take the L, because this is like, this person literally has if she didn't want it, I wouldn't graduate, right? Like that's the kind of power that she has. So
You have to take a shower after you leave.
yeah, you know, and the thing is, and that's what's complicated, and I feel like that's what's like part of the abuse is that, and I adore her, you know, 'cause she has done a lot of great things for me, but there's this other thing that it's like really hard to ignore.
Right.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the beauty of like I have relationships like that where it's like they're not so cut and dry. They're not like, I have this one friend who I think is amazing, but thank God there's not a power dynamic in our relationship. And when he goes off the tracks, I like to guide him back in and let him know, hey, yeah, this might be funny to you, but I need you to know what I'm feeling in this. Because I always tell my sponsees, it's like, what do you think about the relationship? Do you value the relationship? And is it worth like losing the relationship to kind of be honest? Because I feel like the best way we're going to be together is if I'm my authentic self. Because before I spent a lot of time really kind of just, yeah, do whatever. Mm-hmm. I just want to make you happy. And that worked when it worked, but it didn't work. And now it's like, I want to make you happy, but I also want to make me happy. Because when we're both happy, especially when I'm happy, things are going to be really good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one, especially where you're at and where any of us who are concerned with, I want to leave a good impression. I want to go in there guns a-blazing or whatever, but sometimes it's like, I got to say what I need to say, and it can adversely affect you. Like, even if it's something that should have been said, you know, do I keep my mouth shut? Do I leave? What's going on?
Right.
And like to add another layer on top of that, like they already have a perception or a stereotype of you, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, she is that crazy black woman.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as you start like speaking up and saying your mind in a tone that they don't jive with, it's when, you know, the narrative switches real quick. And so it's like you're trying to navigate all of these facets.
Yeah.
Right? And so it makes sense that you have to like make these trade-offs, and you have to think about, is it worth it? You know, do I need this person in the end?
Exactly.
Like, is this a long game? Like, what exactly is going on here, right? Or what type of relationship it is. And so I totally get it.
Yeah.
We could take that right back to the what Kamala had to deal with in the debate.
Oh.
Because not only did she have to worry about all the everything, because he was just so disrespectful, like everything coming at him, but she also had to make sure that she was just stern enough, but not so stern that she looked like she was beating him like an angry black woman. And I'm like, seriously? Like, I would have loved if she had just said, motherfucker. Oh my God, I would have been like, yeah, you had my vote, but you got my vote. I'm gonna vote twice for you. I think that she was playing a long game, because she had that interview, and she talked about kind of but it was like, she said the word without having to say it. That's power.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think she did a wonderful job.
She
I think
did,
she
she
did.
did.
Like, I like was like just clapping, like amazing.
Absolutely.
Her composure and like the way she handled everything.
Yes.
I shared
phenomenal.
last week. I was a little frustrated when it first started, because she did the politician thing when they asked the question about when they asked the question about, are you better off? And I would have honestly said, you know, yes and no. Like, you feel people are better off. First off, we're not in sheltering in place. We're not where we were with the pandemic. And I would make a point that he left us with this. That when we got to the door, he gave us this big bag of mess, and we cleaned it up.
Which also happened to Obama.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, you know, and then I would have dove into like, this is what we're doing to work on it. Like, I feel like I wish that there was a way to get it out to people, to let them know that we are in Trump's economy right now. When people complain about like, everything being a certain way or whatever. We're under Trump's tax credit right now. And people are, oh my God, it was better then because he gave us $1,200. You know, he didn't give us $1,200, but he insisted upon having his name on the check because he's a narcissist. I'm just I'm thematic as spit.
Well, you know, what I'm thinking, I think the thing, what fucks with me the most, and this was, I felt this especially during the last election. Well, the second to last election, 2016. Yeah. Where it's like that. This is like what wealth and power does, right? That it protects you, that you have no consequences, right? So like, even now, he's like 80 or something. He's like, so like, even, you know, what's going to happen? You know, he has all these lawsuits. He's fine. He'll be dead before any of that shit gets resolved, right? And so there's that, right? There's like the no consequences, that like, that's what privilege and power does, you know? I think the other thing is like, it's also when it feels like I saw this too when I was looking at the executive leadership page, where literally like all the people of color that were there, they had like 1 million degrees, but like the other folks, like maybe they had 1 degree, or maybe, you know what I mean? And I was like, and it kind of like, what it reinforced for me has been my experience, which is like, oh, I need to work 2 times as hard or 20 times harder than like a white person looking for a job, because that's just the way it's always been. Right. And like, cause we're playing the credibility game. And I think that like, I feel like people who live in like big cities like San Francisco and New York and maybe Miami, that like, I think there are ways that like, you know, my white friends are like, well, I don't see it, or I don't, you're like, that doesn't feel like it's our reality here. And maybe because we're like in progressive environments, but I'm like, I don't know. I have been in plenty of situations where like, you know, like nepotism is like what got someone a job as opposed to like maybe merit or something like that.
And like we said
Just
last
a different
week,
flavor.
Yeah.
like if you do have privilege, because we all have some sort of privilege, that's not the problem. The problem is when you think that privilege is not what is giving you the upper hand over someone who's working hard. It's like if we're not able to acknowledge that you have this privilege, because when folks use that tired ass like line, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. My bootstraps was my mom and dad, who were like my constant safety net, and they gave me. It's like, come on, yeah, okay, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, and I think that they're
The Gucci bootstraps.
Exactly.
the Gucci bootstraps, and I think that like that you know, maybe we can talk a little bit about like when we have seen kind of like ideal situations, you know, to end on a more positive note, because I'm like,
fuck,
you know what I mean? And here's another thing, you know what I mean? And this is why, and I have so much trauma, you know, like I've been in therapy all my life. Racism, you know, so I'm broke. But what I was thinking about is like, you know, that I have seen, for example, where like I've been in like a conference room and a woman is being talked over, and a white man will step in and say like, no, actually, I believe she was talking. You know? Yeah. So I've seen things like that, you know, like where I've seen, and I know it gives me chills when like you see someone using their power and privilege to change dynamics, you know?
Absolutely.
And, you know, and I've shared before where like one of the most memorable experiences that I had during graduate school is when this white trans woman saw that I was like interested in applying for this like job. And she's like, oh, I've worked there. I'm going to hook you up. You know, like she's going to help me prepare my materials and like interview and all that other stuff. So, you know, so what I'm getting at is like, aside from, you know, like racial politics, I mean, there's so many different forms of privilege and power. I think it's just, for me, it's easiest right now to talk about like race. But the thing is that I also see that like there are people who get, you know, my partner's white. You know what I feel like right now? I feel like the white guy who says a racist thing, but he's like, I'm not racist. I have black friends. Right. And I'm like, I'm not racist. My man is white. You know what I mean? I have white friends.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. Everyone in this room does. Yeah. Yeah.
We're a multicultural democracy.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing is that, and my therapist is white. And well, because what I'm getting at is that like not all white people are the same, in the same way like not all black people or Latino people are the same, right? They're not all the same, right?
But I feel like the thing that's tough is that people are so limited in their ability to see that we're talking passionately about this. It doesn't mean that that this is all we think. Like, you know, like when people say, I'm so sick of you talking about race. Well, first off, I don't have the privilege of not talking about it. And when I speak of it passionately, I'm speaking of it passionately because I feel this is a brave space. I can do that. But like, I don't limit like how I feel about like, do you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah. And I think that I think I'm also like, if I can be real for a second here, is that like, I feel like I'm also coming from a place of fear, because I'm like, oh, people listening to this, like, will this come back and bite me in the ass? Am I foreclosing on certain opportunities because like someone or something that I might want to work for is going to hear this and they're going to like misinterpret what I'm saying? So I'm coming from a place of fear, you know, where there's a part of me that's like, where like, yes, I feel strongly about injustices and inequity and inequality. Of course, I feel strongly about those things. And what I feel like is happening for me right now is like, and in real time, I'm experiencing like the fear of like those power and systemic structures, right?
Yeah. Look at you.
Because I'm
like I always try to get him to cry before the end of the episode. You gonna cry? No, I was like, no,
I've
because
never cried online.
I know,
mean,
I
on
know.
air.
No, but when I poke you with stuff and I'm like, cry, God damn it,
Yeah,
this will
yeah,
be
yeah.
good for the ratings.
I know he's always like, he's always trying to get me to feel more than I want to feel.
Because I don't cry. I don't feel those emotions. I feel some. Others are checked off, but I don't feel those.
Yeah.
I cry all the time.
I think it's a beautiful thing when, like, there are times when I'm with myself, like, and I'll have moments, and what I cry about is really interesting. It's different. Like, I think that what I love is that I found my empathy for other folks, because I feel like I was like a lot of people. I became so desensitized. You remember, God, when was it? It was like just before I got sober. It's like early 2000s when you had all of those mass shootings. Yeah. Like, and it was just like it was like commonplace and whatever. And after a while, it's like, okay, whatever. I guess this is just it. But then I remember there was one particular, and I heard the details of it, and I just cried like a baby. And I was thinking, this is not okay. And I was like, wow, you know what? And I was able to kind of feel in that moment. It's like, come on, okay, you're not dead. You're not dead. You get to feel this. This is real. It's like I am. And I was like, I refuse to let all of this craziness like kind of keep me from tapping into that part of me that cares about people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all good. Thank you.
Oh, I love that.
I know.
Oh my God. Okay, good timing. Let's see those notes today.
The Castro Country Club is a safe and sober community center for all people and a refuge for the LGBTQ recovery community.
You know what? I feel like this goes further and further away from me every week.
Okay.
Does it really?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I forget that you're wearing contacts.
Yeah. We provide programs and services that help people change their lives by supporting personal growth.
Our vision is to reduce the suffering of addiction by connecting people to community opportunity and support.
You can find more information, including all the ways to contact us, at www.castrocountryclub.org/podcast. Did I do 4 W's again?
Yes, and tune in every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time when we go live on our Castro Country Club Facebook and YouTube channels.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Hey, how was that for you, Thana? We're still recording, just so you know.
Okay, you're still recording. Yeah. I think I enjoyed just listening to you two, to be honest.
Aww.
No, it was wonderful. It's really a wonderful experience.
You're
like
having go ahead, sorry, go.
I had first, I've never ever been on a podcast or did anything
You're
like
amazing.
this before.
Yeah, I would love for you to come back on.
Yeah,
Would you come back on?
Yeah. I get I can get shy, so I'm like,
no, you were fantastic.
Then I'm like, then I just start listening, but I am like a big listener.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a very good listener. I've
Yeah.
noticed. Yeah.
I think that's.
Are you in like a listening profession?
No, yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that listening is really important. It's like I love like listening. Like before, I would do this with Bonnie, Violet, and Anthony, and sometimes I listen and I'm thinking, oh my God, they're so smart. I'm stupid. Like I can't do this. And then I realize, you know what? That's nonsense. You know, I bring what I bring.
Yeah, I think you're fantastic. Thana, look, this is what it looks like.
That's hilarious.
Thana is sitting on 4
multiple chairs because I'm a teeny human.
That's okay.
No, thanks for bringing that up because that's how I felt too, you know? The same thing. It's like, oh, should I bring this up? Should I talk about this? What's like allowed? I wasn't sure what the rules were.
I think
now I know for next time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
well, we made sure we had to at one point we changed like the rating on this because I think that we wanted to be able to just express and talk about everything because I am a big proponent of like, let's have the conversation. Because it's also the forgiveness piece. Like I'm going to say it. And this is interesting because there are still things that I am not comfortable talking about, but I'm going to say it in the right environment around people who understand that, you know what, I'm not language. I can't be stuck with, you know, it needs to be okay for me to kind of evolve and grow and change my thinking. Like if I show up with this kind of backwards way of thinking about something and I have a conversation with you and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm open to hearing something different, especially if I feel like I got my information from some back alley or from my parents who kind of just stopped on one idea about it and never expanded on it. So that's what I love about the podcast. I feel like we've had an opportunity that I haven't had in a number of years because some of our relationships are you know, a little superficial. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have friends, we go shopping, we go to the movies, we go whatever. And when you start to try to talk about something deep, especially if you have friends who are not people of color or whatever, you know, sometimes they shut down. And you love them deeply. I love you. I don't want to take that away from you, but I do need people to kind of, you know, to let this out, because if I don't, I'm going to explode.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I think what you're making me think of is how, like, and there's a place for like quote unquote superficial relationships, right?
Absolutely.
It's like, I remember I was talking to a good friend of mine, her name's Stephania, and we were talking, and I was like, why do people talk about like the things they do sometimes? And she goes, Anthony, not everyone is trying to talk philosophy all the time. Not everyone, like, you know, like, and like, I understood that. She was like, you know, sometimes we just like need a break. You know what I mean? Like, people just need a break. And I am certainly one of those people who, like, I thrive and I love kind of connected relationships where you can be real. And I'm also like hyper aware of the fact that like everyone's literally just trying to live.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we're like,
I've said that
literally
so many times. I've been quoting you on that. Like, so people are just trying to live, and it's not that easy. Like, I was talking to somebody else about that. It's like, yeah, it's not easy. It's like, because the way maybe my sponsee. So
cute. Yeah.
It's like I'm all, because it was frustrated about something. I'm all, you know what? You're doing the best you can. It's like, just pay attention to that.
Yeah.
We can ride that for a while.
We're literally going to die.
Yeah, we're gonna.
You know what I mean? It's like, and there's this.
It's good to kiki.
What did they say? What did they say? It's like spoiler, you're gonna die.
Yeah, you know, like, for real. And I hate to be kind of like flippant, and it feels kind of like hacky to say it.
You do this all the time.
No,
it's
no,
like,
but
it feels all marshmallowy.
But no, what I'm saying is, you're annoying. So like,
you know, I feel like I'm in between two siblings.
I am here because
fighting.
I'm here because I just want to lift you.
I know, and you do, Louis, and you do, and you do, and you do lift.
Yeah, because I'm drawn to. If I want to lift you, it's like, because as soon as any relationship that I'm trying to tear down, that's not a relationship.
No, and I feel that, and you have transformed me in many different ways, and
he's a bottom now.
I get.
I'm dead.
I talk about his butt all the time. I'm all, booty.
My genetics. What was I going to say?
Go
you
ahead.
and Benji stays. Anyway, so you fucking threw me off.
I love it.
Living. So like, obviously I only have myself as like a frame of reference, but I'm like, yo, if other people like wake up, and I've got all kinds of stuff going on, like. And by all kinds of stuff, I mean, like, I have, mental illness and like trauma and like, I'm an addict, right? And so, okay.
Yes.
Okay. But for real, I just feel like, I'm like, how, do you know what an ACEs score is?
No.
It's I'll look, I always mess up the acronym, but the ACEs score, it was, let me pull it up. I want to do it justice. There was this amazing, this amazing doctor. Oh my God, I can't believe I just forgot her name. Woman of color. She was the Surgeon General for California for some time. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. Anyway, so she was behind. She was one of the people behind this study. I think she may have pioneered it, to be honest. But it's the. Are you looking it up? The ACEs study.
So it says the physical status classification system is a system for assessing the fitness of a patient before surgery.
Oh no, you're looking at the wrong one. ACEs score violence.
Oh yeah,
I can't believe. So it's the adverse childhood experiences.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so what she found was that I think her name is Nadine Harris. I need to look her up. I know she's worth knowing who she is. She's a baddie. She's fucking brilliant. So what she found was that the higher the ACEs score, right? So the more adverse experiences someone had growing up, right? So she asked questions like, was someone in prison? Did you see violence? Did you, all this? And the higher the score, the increased likelihood that person would have like poorer health outcomes, right? And this was, it's just been, it's been used because it's very accurate, right? That being said, what I'm trying to get at is that I have a high ACEs score and I'm 40 years old and I'm still kind of some of that stuff still lives in my body. And so some days are hard to fucking wake up. You know what I mean? And some days are everything could be going well. And now I all of a sudden have anxiety. And I'm like, well, if other people are having this experience, then other people are likely feeling it's hard to live. And I also even if a person has all the power and privilege in the world, I think that there's, if they're human, they're still going to have.
We have our version of it. It's
you know what I mean? Everyone has their version
suffering.
of it, but everyone is suffering,
Exactly.
and it's everyone is suffering. We're literally just trying to live. And where we find conflict, and I've talked about this before, is we all have the same fundamental needs. We only have conflict when the strategies that we're using to have those needs met interfere with other people.
Yeah.
Right. That's where conflict comes from.
I was praying it the other day in the mirror. It's I'm all, God, I'd like to have problems other than money. I'd like to have some of those other problems.
I read a meme on Reddit. It was money can't buy you happiness, but it can pay or money can pay your bills or some shit like that. Oh, I ruined it. I don't remember, but it was something like that.
I get it.
Yeah. It's
absolutely.
it can't buy you happiness, but neither does poverty.
Yeah.
Oh, and it was it can't buy you happiness, but poverty can't buy you anything or something.
Oh God.
Look. No, that scarcity mindset that you're kind of just talking about. It seems like we're fighting over resources or something like that. Or no. Or it's people think there's a threat to what they already have.
Real
talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and when we say that in the big book too, where it's as addicts and alcoholics, we have a fear of losing what we have or not getting what we want. Which I don't even think is unique to us.
Yeah,
I think
I was talking to somebody, trying to have these relationships where I wish people well, understanding that what's for me is what's for me. I love that saying that what God has for me is mine. Everybody can have, we can get what we want or whatever, and I don't have to worry about just because this person's got it before me or that they have it and they have a lot of it, that there's none for me. Yeah.
She so I'm going to go back to Dr. Harris, Nadine Harris. So
get her.
Yeah, her name is Dr. Nadine Harris.
Hey Nadine. If you're listening.
Well, I'm just going to read her wiki. Yeah, no, she's incredible. Is a Canadian American pediatrician who was the Surgeon General of California between 2019 and 2022. She's the first person appointed to that position. She is known for linking adverse childhood experiences and toxic stress with harmful effects to health later in life. Yeah, I mean, her work. And I'll show you a picture, and she's also beautiful.
I bet, but that absolutely makes sense. Oh,
she's cute.
Yeah. She's a baddie.
You know what? I love it that we the conversation shifted and went to we started talking more about the mental part of a lot of because
our shared suffering.
Well, it's interesting because it's sometimes we have to take that journey. We have to take the journey. I'll be expressing myself passionately, like I had said about whatever. But the best thing I heard, and I think I share this in a share at the POC meeting. It's when I heard that woman say in that POC meeting that anything that can affect my serenity, I get to work the steps around it, and that was not something that I thought or even that there was space for, because I was constantly hearing the message, even if though it wasn't the message, but hearing the message that no outside issues. You can't talk about that. You can't talk about, I had a former sponsee, when we started working together, he had talked about a sponsor that would shut him down every time he tried to talk about things that he deemed were not relevant to recovery. And I'm all, What are you talking about? Everything that is driving me even a slightly crazy. If it's like if a hangnail is my issue, we're talking about this fucking hangnail, and I'm going to bring it to a meeting.
Yeah,
girl, I need to talk about this hangnail.
Yeah,
right. And I feel like you can make the argument that really anything is an outside issue.
Oh, absolutely.
But people just select what makes them uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Well, I got a quick story to share.
Please do.
Like when it comes to outside issues. So I got sober in 2022. And my using really picked up in 2020, right? It's like the perfect storm of self-pity brewing, right? There's the pandemic. I didn't like my job at the time. And also, there was a lot of Black people being murdered. And it was like highly publicized, right? There was Ahmaud Arbery, then there was Breonna Taylor, and then there's George Floyd. And then being from Minneapolis, it was just a lot.
Right.
And so I turned to my coping tools at the time, right? Which were alcohol and drugs. And I remember, there's this time where I was drinking and driving a long route, and I was talking to my now sponsor about it. It's a blessing that I never got pulled over, I never hurt anyone, never hurt myself during this long drive. And she was saying to me that, I think that was God, because I think that if you were pulled over and you were sentenced to go to AA, for example, and you had shared about your experience and everything that you're going through at the time, especially as it relates to race, politics, identity, all of that, and someone said outside issues, I know damn well that I would have left the room and never came back to Alcoholics Anonymous.
Oh, God, yes.
I would have never came back to any rooms of recovery at all. I've been like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
I know obviously I'm at a point now in my recovery where that wouldn't even bother me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bat an eye, but I share that because I have shared that meetings where other people have talked about their sponsees where they have had that happen, and they're like, this is not for me, right? And especially for someone so early on in recovery, it's so important that we don't limit the things that they talk about
absolutely
at all. And and that's
100%.
the most crucial time because we're so sensitive, right? We're so raw. I was very easily triggered and especially in early recovery. And so I'm grateful that I had spaces where people let me talk about whatever the hell I wanted to talk about. Yeah.
Right on. I have certainly been in meetings and in the room that we're in right now where someone has tried to censor someone's share. Literally, I remember I was sitting in a big meeting in this room and someone whose name I won't bring up, but I'll tell you when we're done recording. And no one in this room would be surprised. Someone was sharing and he says to the person sharing, I need you to talk more about you and less about your mom, or something like that. What's bothering you? And I was just kind of man,
you're doing too much.
This is not your place. He gets the same 3 minutes that everybody else
Exactly.
does.
My sponsor says that, and I listen. It's everybody gets that 3 minutes. You can sit through that 3 minutes because it may be exactly what they need and what somebody else needs.
And why do you even fucking care? You know what I mean? It's
you're doing too much.
Yeah, you're doing too much.
Right. It's not like I'm bringing a Black Lives Matter flag. I'm we got to hang this up here.
You keep that up. Catch me outside. Okay.
I'm just talking about why my life matters.
Yeah. Hello. Exactly.
Triggered. They're triggered.
Some people get really uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, there was do you remember that time? Oh, this was really messy. This was before one of my relapses or after one of my relapses. There was a person, this was 2016 again, I think, maybe even further back. But somebody in the rooms, there was some drag queen who was a Trump supporter. Do you remember this? There was a drag queen who was a Trump supporter, and she was talking all this mess online. And this is back when I
Oh, okay.
Do you remember this?
If it's online, I think I remember this.
Yeah, and
conservative, huh?
I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I think that was her drag name, and
No, she was a Latina queen.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
And this bitch, she was all over the news. Fox had her.
She wasn't I don't think she was a drag queen, but I think I know if it's the same person because didn't they end up getting assaulted?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. No.
Yes, they ended up getting assaulted. But the thing is that
I didn't have anything to do with that.
no, neither was I. And, violence wrong, obviously. But, but going back to this, but it was clear to me that this person was 100% making a spectacle out of themselves because they loved the attention.
No,
that is the impression I got from this person. And then I remember the situation he found himself in, I'm like, bro, you 100% brought this on yourself. You did the shit on purpose. You deliberately antagonized people. You deliberately put yourself in a situation where, and you got exactly what you were wanting. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it was position in this way. Anyway, it was wild. And I remember I got on Facebook and I said some stuff, and then it just went back and forth. I don't remember why I brought this up. Oh, people that what I was trying to say is the election was fucking with people in recovery.
Oh yeah.
It was and I had never experienced that before, where you had outside, oh my God, I almost said outside issues. Where you had issues outside of the recovery spaces that were really infiltrating. And I think the reason why I said it that way is because oftentimes I think I'll speak for myself, I like to think of sober spaces as these protected sacred spaces. Yeah. And so and that isn't to say that I don't want you to talk about your political views. That's not what I'm saying at all, especially if it impacts your recovery. What I don't want is for you to say some shit that could get me harmed. Yeah. And I don't want, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of, so all of that.
It's always tough. Yeah. It's always kind of challenging for folks to, you can talk about what you need to talk about, but I think that there's still that, talk about it in a general way. Talk about it in a general way and how it affects you. And I think that when I focus it in and say, this is what I'm going through, this is what's happening, right. This is what happened, and because there's a way to do it. There's a way to nuance the conversation, right. And to talk about it and to put it out there. Okay, but I'm going to shut up because it's
9:01. We need to wrap up.
Oh my God.
It's time to go. As usual, if you're new to the podcast, thank you for listening. Please come back. If you're a longtime listener, we love you. And if you're, even if you're new, we love you. And that's it.
Thana, thank you so much. You were
amazing. Yeah, thank you for being on. Yeah, of course. Amazing. I hope you'll come back on.
Yes, please do.
I will.